Welcome into another edition of Texas Grades. Familiar feeling here as Texas loses for the third straight time to Georgia, and we're just going to jump into this. So we're going to grade the coaching staff. We'll start out with Steve Sarkisian, the head coach. I'm going to give him an F plus. I'm giving him the plus because I thought the first drive of the game was great. After that, I thought he got away from the running game too early. I didn't think there was enough creativity in it. I also didn't, guys, so I forgot to mention this during the postgame show. One Arch Manning run in this game, one Arch Manning run in a big time game versus Georgia makes no sense to me. So I'm giving Steve Sarkisian an F plus for this football game. Josh, what about you?
Well, and then that Arch Manning run was on a 3rd and 15 or something. So terrible time to call it there. Man, this one's tough. I did not like the game plan on either side, both offense or defense. I feel like there was meat on the bone, though, with all the drops, with all the penalties. You can't all put that all on the coaching staff. But when you also take into account, look, you are the play caller, but you're also the coach. You got to get these guys prepared and ready to go for a big-time game. And against Georgia, yet again, Kirby Smart soundly outcoached you, despite the fact that you had a full bye week to prepare for this. So for me, I won't go F plus. I won't go F. I'll go D minus. I'll go D minus.
Yeah, Steve Sarkisian as a play caller, I think is probably a D. I think Steve Sarkisian as a program manager at this point is an F. And I think those are like how I have to like slice the grades. He failed both of them. I think the offensive game plan, I love the opening script. And I even think when Texas started to get into rhythm, I thought the way he put Arch in position, the way he got the receivers kind of open and took advantage of some of those deficiencies in Georgia's secondary, I thought was fine. So I think, but again, he got away from the run. He didn't put his running backs in any real position to be successful. But the overall program management of it and the having the players ready for this game is an F. So I think you have to like slice it in both those two ways for me.
One last thing about Sark. It feels like we give a lot of these Fs in these big time games. What do we give him versus Ohio State? I can't remember, but it wasn't great. What do we give him versus Florida? Wasn't great. Yeah. The only time where this guy can ball out is against Oklahoma. So, and maybe Texas A&M. If he can get that win, that'd be big. So, but yeah, tough.
Next up, let's go over to the defensive coordinator with Pete Kwiatkowski. I'm going to give him a C minus. I didn't like the opening script, but I think they adjusted pretty well. And I also think it's really like it's putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole at that number 2 cornerback position. Like there's very few things I think you can do just because that's how bad that was. It kind of reminds me actually when Texas, lost to Washington, we kind of had those two guys playing cornerback in that game were Fs. And we're getting, we have one of those guys now because I think Malik Muhammad's a B plus A minus corner, and we have an F on the other side of him. So I'm going to give him a C minus in this game.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit higher. I did not like the initial game plan, and I think part of that is just sort of the faults of his scheme being kind of this bend but don't break style. And I almost feel like he's sort of having to go to that style because of how bad we are at second corner right now. Yeah. So, and I'll go with like a C plus. I thought the adjustments he made were great. I love how aggressive he got towards that second and third quarter, stacking the box, sending pressure, disguising blitzes, all that sort of stuff. I thought was really good. But the lack of communication in the secondary, I know that's a player issue, but it's still on coaching to tell these guys, you guys have to communicate. How many times when they got to the red zone was there a coverage bust? They had a big touchdown to, I think it was I can't remember it was one of the tight ends or maybe it was London Humphreys. I can't remember, but that big touchdown grab where wide open because of two guys going in for one player. So that does bring my grade down a little bit, but he gave Texas a chance. It was a one possession game. He held them to 14 points for 3 quarters. That's pretty freaking good. So I'll give him a C plus.
I'm starting to wonder if some of the secondary calls are going to somebody else, because there was a spot where Texas had its NASCAR front and was playing soft coverage. And I'm like, those two things don't go together. I'm not sure. So I'm curious about that pairing. I'm going to give Pete Kwiatkowski, I think, a C because the opening of the first 2 drives, especially, were awful, god awful. And I was like, this is going to go be a long, long night. And then they adjusted and they really heated up Gunnar Stockton, and they really got him off his spots and really did some things. And the way that they disguised coverage, the Anthony Hill interception was a kind of a false pressure situation where they showed pressure and then he bailed and was there in the spot, and that's on coaching. So I think the defense played well enough for 75% of this game for Texas to win. And if the offense rewards them in a couple of those spots, this game goes quite a bit differently. So I think a C for Pete Kwiatkowski.
Next up, we'll go to the special teams. F. Jeff Banks gets an F in this game because, the biggest play of the game, the biggest momentum shifter of this game is that play where they get the onside kick. And by the way, it was kicked, and I forget who it was but they didn't even run and attempt to get the ball. They ran right past the ball. Yeah, it was so weird.
Was it Roberson?
It was Roberson.
It was okay.
Yeah. I think it was Roberson, and I can't remember the other guy, but yeah, it was terrible.
So I'm giving him an F, and we've seen this too in bigger games. Like again, the SEC championship game last year, he gets out coached. And are there positive things Jeff Banks have done as a special teams coordinator? Absolutely. You've seen Ryan Niblett get much better at his job, and I think Jeff Banks deserves some credit for that. But that was inexcusable with that onside kick there. So I'm giving him an F.
Yeah, it's really tough for me because I thought the special teams for Georgia was incredible today. Just the coaching job they did to say he's not going to get the ball. Niblett didn't even have an opportunity to get the ball. Every single punt, they purposely had him airmail it. Just put as much hang time as you can so we can get down there. And I thought it was brilliant. Even they knew that their defense was so good and they were dominating this game. They didn't even care that the ball didn't go past the 50. They did not care. That's how much they were just like, get the ball away from Niblett. And, and then on Texas side of things, they gave Zachariah Branch some chances, and Branch didn't have the game-changing play, but he made some decent runs, and then the onside kick. And I thought Bomeister was good today. I thought he was good. I thought our punt team in general, minus the one penalty they had, I thought was for the most part good. I'll go with that onside kick weighs it down a ton. I'll go D- for them because that onside kick kind of sealed the game for you, basically.
Yeah, I'm going with an F there. I think there was a penalty on Niblett's one big return.
I forgot about that. You're an F.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So like that, like it was a bad special teams game, and ultimately, like Kirby Smart feels comfortable going for that because your players aren't coached to have good discipline, right? You don't kick that onside kick if you don't know that Texas's front five are bailing as soon as the ball is kicked. So like that's a coaching thing. So that just F. Done.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And yeah, Warren Roberson again with the block in the back. Like I really do believe he was the worst player on the field for Texas. There were so many bad things he did on special teams and when he was out there covering. That was definitely pass interference. Got bailed out by the refs, but let's go over to the offensive side of the ball and go with Arch Manning. I think he was the best player for Texas the whole game, other than maybe Ryan Wing. I think those were our two best players. Ryan Wing, you got to drop him down a little bit just because of the drops, but other than that, really good catches in the second half to redeem himself. I'm going to give Arch an A-. I don't think it was a perfect game from him, but I think it was a really good football game from him. And I think if you give him those 4 catches, we're probably talking about over 300 yards passing versus a pretty good Georgia defense. So I'm going to give him an A-.
Yeah, Arch, you're going to look at the score and you're going to hear people say that Arch cost Texas the game. It's the furthest from the truth. I thought Arch was great today. I really do. I'm not saying it was his best game, but you're going against Georgia, a really good team with a great defense. I thought he did a really good job. He stepped into the pocket. When the pocket was collapsing, he got the ball out on time, in rhythm. He was accurate for almost every throw. He had 2 missed throws. The interception, which I personally believe should have been a foul, but no foul. Should have hit the guy in the numbers, didn't do that. And then he missed DeAndre Moore on what could have been a nice grab. Everything in the fourth quarter, I don't care. The game was out of hand. He's trying to force the ball deep. They're playing back. I don't really care too much about that one. But I just thought he was sharp today, really sharp. I'm not going to go A+. I'll also go with an A-. Every throw he made, I thought he made some great decisions, threw the ball away when he needed to, took the checkdowns when it was there. He didn't force throws. I thought he was great today. And I think he, despite the offense being inefficient and not being great, I don't think it was Arch Manning's fault. I think it was more on Sarkisian, the lack of a ground game, more so than Arch. I thought Arch was great.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go an A just because of maybe this is like recency bias. I'm still pissed about the game, but like a B plus for sure. Like you said, Arch. I mentioned it in the post game live stream. Sark for weeks gaslit us that like Arch is operating the offense really well in spite of the results, and I actually legitimately feel that way about Arch right now. He's operating the offense really well, and you could tell he was frustrated by some of those drops and some of those bad, the miscommunications with the wide receivers. I think Arch is playing. He is not the Heisman Trophy candidate that we thought he was preseason, or folks thought he was preseason, but he is playing and growing into a really, really good college quarterback that will probably be in the Heisman conversation legitimately next year.
I agree with that. I think he's made monumental strides during this season. I can't say that for everyone else around him, but he has specifically.
Yeah.
Next up, we'll go with the offensive line. This is such a weird one for me because I agree. When the ball was snapped blocking, I thought they did like a B plus job. I thought they did a pretty solid job. The problem was they committed way too many penalties pre-snap, and then also there were a couple holds in there. And yeah, did Georgia get away with a couple holds on their side that weren't called? Absolutely. But some of them were obvious, like the one Connor Robertson got beat over his shoulder, and you just see him reach out and grab the guy's shoulder pad. I mean, everyone's going to get called for that hold. We don't move our feet particularly well. When we pull the guards, we saw they get beat, and I didn't really like that we did that too often. I'm not going to be I'm going to grade them again based off what I've seen them, not every offensive line I've seen play this year. I think that was like I'll give them a C- performance because I've seen worse from them. Like the Florida game was still the worst game of the season. I don't think it was obviously the best game, but I don't think it was the worst game. So I'm going to give them a C-.
Yeah, this performance from the offensive line kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Ohio State game where they didn't get killed every time. I thought maybe it was a little bit worse in the Ohio State game. I thought the tackles were fine. I thought Guzzi made a couple of nice plays. Didn't really hear Baker's name a whole ton. Hudson made a couple costly penalties. I didn't think he was particularly great. Roberson, I thought at center was just kind of average. The reality of this offensive line is the interior is just never going to be great. It's better than what it was versus Florida. It's better than when our freshman Nick Brooks was in there. It's just not a great offensive line. But again, I thought there was many times where they were able to build a pocket around Arch and allow Arch to step into that pocket and extend plays. And when you pass the ball 43 times, you're going to give up a sack or two versus a defense that has some freaky athletes on it. So I'm not that mad at the offensive line. There was some penalty issues you got to clean up, and that's the bane of that's the killer of Texas's offense in general. But I'll go C+ for them. I'll go C+.
Yeah, it's really hard because like I think as a unit, the offensive line is playing really well and they've settled on a right group. But again, these procedural penalties, these holding penalties that wipe off big plays and put you behind the chains, those are the reasons why the offense sputters. And so like I don't want to give them a failing grade because I don't think they actually failed in and of themselves. A lot of the team's failures were not around them, but you gave up 3 sacks. You had those massive penalties that cost you. I'll just go C- just because I want to give them the lowest possible passing score.
That's how I kind of feel as well. Let's jump over to the wide receivers. I'm just throwing out the tight ends. I'm not even going to consider them anymore. I put that more on Sark for putting them out there in those situations. Yeah. So I think the wide receivers as a whole, I think I would go B-. Like too many drops, but other than that, when they caught the ball, they made plays. Like we had a lot of yak still in this game with Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, DeAndre Moore. Parker Livingston really didn't get much involved in this game. He had the one catch in the fourth quarter, but other than that, didn't do much. Honestly, he hasn't really done much like the past month and a half, past that first month of the season. So I think again, when these guys catch the ball and they're in open space, they're pretty good. The issue is they drop the ball way too often. So I'm going to give them a B-.
I'm gonna be a little more critical. Those drops were huge, just game-changing drops. The Ryan Wingo drop, the Washington drop, who is a tight end, and the limited amount of targets the tight ends get, you dropped one of them. The DeAndre Moore drop. These were all catchable footballs that you just dropped, and one of them was in plus territory. One of them were on positive-looking drives, and you get no points out of those where you get the field goal on the first one, but what could have been a touchdown. And in a game that was 14-10 after the third quarter, a complete toss-up of a game at that point, every point mattered and you left points on the field. I don't think they necessarily completely costed you the game, because that was more of the special teams and the other issues later in the game. But they were definitely a major factor for us not winning this one. I thought they were great in the second half. I thought Wingo really made up for the drop, but the drops were huge. And so I'm going to drop them to a C+ for me.
Yeah, again, this is similar to the offensive line. Like, I want to fail this group because of those drops. Like, your one job, you got one job, and it's to catch the football. And the broadcast only credited them with 4 drops, but they had more that, like, I probably would consider drops as well. That Ryan Wingo kind of big diving catch, that ball hit him in the hands twice. Like, there's a lot of those moments. And again, this game looks very different for Texas if some of those catches happen, some of those drops don't happen. It's like, ultimately for me, like, I can't pass this group because of the spots that the drops happened were pretty inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. Let's move over to the running backs. And honestly, this has probably been, I think, nationally the most disappointing unit, because a lot of national writers had, and I disagreed with it. I said it then as a top 5 unit, like running back unit in the country. And you have a guy coming off major knee surgery. You have Trey Wisner, who, again, is not a national championship back, on our number 1 on a national championship team. And there's just no explosive runs. Like, minus Oklahoma, when's the last time we had an explosive run? We don't have explosive runs. So I'm giving them a D+. I do think they should have got more opportunities, and that's on Sark again. But with the opportunities they did get, they didn't look great. Like, they weren't gashing people. They would get 4, maybe 5 yards once in a while. But again, can we break a 15-yard run? Is it possible, other than when we play Oklahoma? We don't. Yeah, I was going to say we don't do it, literally, unless it was versus Oklahoma. It did not happen. So I'm giving it a D+.
Well, I don't disagree with what you said. There is no explosive run game right now for Texas. And part of that is because we don't have an explosive back. Wisner is a good back. He can be a part of your rotation. But as you said, ideally, he's probably not your number 1. Right. And then Baxter only getting 1 carry. Like, that's just, I don't know what's going on there. That's wild to me, because he's very talented and he could be more of a power back. And in this game versus Georgia, being a bit more physical, having that power back probably would have been nice at some points. I almost want to give them an incomplete, because we never got to see them just have a drive of just, hey, we're going to try to establish the ground game, because we would run the ball and then pass the ball twice afterwards. So you really don't ever get that momentum, that rhythm to your game. And when they ran the football, for the most part, minus that one bad play from Wisner where he's running around trying to make a play when he shouldn't do that versus Georgia, I thought Wisner was good. I thought he got what he needed to get, 3-4 yard carries, which is what you want versus Georgia. Keep the chains moving. And he had a long of 16 yards. So I almost want to give him incomplete, because Sark completely screwed them over by giving them a total of 10 carries between Baxter and Wisner, which is just, and then not even using Arch's legs at all. Wild to me. So for them, I'll go C- to C. But again, I don't really know if I should put much of the blame on them. I feel like I should put more of it on Sark.
Yeah, it's the running backs. I feel so bad for them. Like, I just don't know, like, why Sark doesn't love you like we want him to. And it's one of those weird things where, like, we say CJ Baxter is not, or if CJ Baxter's not playing under the standard, and that Trey Wisner is not a back on a championship level team. But Texas was a couple of plays away from going for a championship with him a year ago. So, like, ultimately he's good enough to play and get in position. And he's not going to be a game changer like, again, a Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, but he's got a lot of that in him. And so that's why I think it's so frustrating. So I am going to go incomplete, because I don't think we saw enough to see how well they would have played tonight.
That's fair. They didn't get many chances. 10 carries versus Georgia. Can't happen.
And I think my frustration is more of a whole season thing. Like, I've just seen these guys basically stuck in neutral the whole season, not really creating many explosive plays, and it's just really frustrating to watch, because when they do have opportunities to make big plays, they just don't. I agree that there's not that many to be made. Yeah, I agree with that. But really, the Oklahoma game, again, is the only game where I'm like, yeah, that is how this should look when it's going at least decent, and not making big plays. I mean, my God, Kentucky's not good defensively, and we had no big runs in that football game. So that's more of a whole season frustrated thing for me. I'm allowed to be frustrated with this season, guys. So in the comments, let me know what your grades are for the offense. We'll jump over to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line, I thought they looked really good at certain moments, and other times they would get gashed once in a while, but a lot of that did happen in the fourth quarter. It was kind of weird for me with them. They would either stuff it or they'd give up 7-8 yards a carry, and a lot of the times they get run over, especially in the second level. But that was, again, that's more linebackers. So I'll give them like a B minus. I thought they were solid. Like if you told me before the game the defense line gets a B minus, I think we're in the football game. So I'll give them a B minus. I think that's what I saw.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It was weird because the first two drives they're getting gashed, right? And you can't get pressure on them. Kirby's out coaching the defensive coordinator, and they made some adjustments, and I thought they were great in the second to late third, right? Even on that drive where they went down to score when they had those 2 fourth down conversions, you got them to fourth down twice. And I thought they played good. And then the fourth quarter happened, and I almost want to give them an excuse because they had back-to-back drives where they were just purposely trying to wear you down. And you could tell that our D-line wore down in the second half because all of a sudden a carry that was getting stuffed in the backfield all of a sudden is now going for, 8 to 10 yards. And so it's tough. But I am going to be a bit more positive with this unit because you held them to 14 points in the third, up to the third quarter. And that's a lot, right? That's a good number to get to. So I'll go defensive line like a B. I'll go with a B for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I the way the edges played well, I think the edges played really well, especially for being tackled on basically every play. The interior of the defensive line, I thought played really well against the run. UGA is not the most scary run team in the world, but they still held up really well. But ultimately, I think they played well enough in that unit specifically for Texas to win the games. I think I think it's a B for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's move over to the linebackers again. Just weird for them. Like some certain highlights, some other ones that didn't play great, and some run fits overall. I thought Ty Anthony Smith honestly might have been the best linebacker for us this game. I thought Anthony Hill was pretty good, but he did miss some plays. And Leonga Lafau kind of went missing for us. Didn't really see him much out there. So I'll give him a B minus as well. That's kind of how I feel about the front seven. Like they played a good, solid football game, but there was nothing special there.
Yeah, Leonga Lafau has kind of just gone quiet since like week 2, right? Ever since it feels like early the season. Like first Ohio State, he had a really good game, and it was like, okay, here we go. And he's just been quiet since then. I thought Anthony Smith made a couple nice plays. He had a hit in the fourth. I think it was the fourth where it was like, okay, 215 pounds. He looked like he was 260 on that play. Just put him in the dirt. Anthony Hill, per usual, is just a madman. He's by far and away, I think, our best. He might be our best player in general on this team right now. I thought he was great. Albeit pretty. I think they did good. I didn't feel like they were bad in coverage. And although Anthony Hill did have a pass interference,
that was
which was
ticky-tacky.
very ticky-tacky.
Yeah, that was real bad.
Very ticky-tacky. But then he had another one where he got caught behind somebody. So I think maybe in coverage, Anthony could have been a little bit better. So I'll go B plus. I mean, again, I'm gonna say this probably over and over again. You held Georgia to 14 points in the third quarter. That's positive right there. And then you gave up 21 in the fourth.
Yeah, it's such a weird because like Anthony Hill played well, but the Leonga Lafau of it all is really frustrating for me because I was a big fan of his and I thought he was going to be really good for Texas. And Ty Anthony Smith seemingly has been that guy. Like not being able to find it's frustrating for me because they should be better. And so I'll go with a C minus, I think, because again, what's the lowest possible passing grade I can give these guys?
Be a C minus.
Yeah. Next up, I think we know where we're all going with this one, the secondary. This is how I feel about this. Like the wide receivers, we've seen one guy stick out once in a while. We've seen the offensive line, one guy stick out once in a while. And that was Malik Muhammad tonight. He was shut down. They didn't throw to his side of the field for a reason. Like I feel bad that I have to give his unit this grade, but this is an F. Like there's no one else that played good at all. Michael Taft didn't play good. Jelani McDonald, again, I still don't understand the first play of the game with him where Gunnar Stockton just bounces outside and there's 40 yards free because you decided, hey, I want to jump inside when Colin Simmons already went inside. It makes no sense. So, and then the second cornerback position, whether you want to say it was Warren Roberson, Cade Phillips, Jalen Gilbo, they were a buffet over there. Whoever was over there, it was free for all. Have at it. Go ahead. Have fun. So I'm giving him an F. I'll give him literally the only reason I'm giving him an F plus. The plus is from Malik Muhammad. The rest of you got an F. So F plus.
Yeah. If it was a Manny Muhammad grade, I'd probably give him an A. I mean,
Yeah.
Felt like I never called his name, but you said it. It was barbecue chicken. And if it was, anybody else, but I thought Grayson Littleton was also very good. I didn't say his name one time today.
Yeah.
But it was just that one corner position killed you. And man, the safeties were so bad, just bad angles, missing tackles. Yeah. And there were times where our guys were just getting ran over. I looked on the other side and I thought DeMello Jones was a stud. I mean, just putting people in the dirt. Dalen Everett made some plays. Like the secondary on the other side was really good, making plays, being physical. And then I look at our side and we're getting ran over. I mean, look, Manny Muhammad got pushed to the dirt by that offensive lineman, which I'm not going to put that on him, but the secondary was rough. Again, I thought they were good in the second and third quarter, but in the red zone, in the first two drives, in the fourth quarter, everything was so open. And the miscommunications to me is the most frustrating part because you have a senior in Taff and a junior in Jelani. And Vanderbilt, we excused it, right? We excused the miscommunication because versus Vanderbilt, you're down to your freshman at safety. I can excuse that. When it's my senior and my junior, and my other senior and Jalen Gilbo too, who
with the C on their chest,
and they are just getting wide open touchdowns. That's a bad look. So I'm gonna give them F-. They didn't make any plays. If this was a Grayson Littleton, Manny Muhammad, A+. You did nothing. You did your job. Everyone else, complete F-. It drags them down to an F- for me.
Yeah. Again, I am tired of seeing the back of Jalen Gilbo's jersey when somebody scores. Just very tired.
2 more games. No, 3 more games.
Right.
You got.
This is a failure, period. Like the big plays, the big busts were all on secondary miscues. All of that falls on the secondary. So they failed. I'm done with it. F.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Let us know what your grades are for each position group. We would like to know that in the comments section. Also, check us out every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Gerald and I, and then every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Josh and Brandon go live. That is my X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it right there. This is Gerald's X, Blue Sky, as well as his Longhorn podcast, which you can check out on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you want to find it. And then this is Josh's X, as well as his YouTube channel, which go and check that out as well. A lot of NFL stuff. I know a lot of great games in the second half of that window tomorrow. I'm hoping my Broncos don't, have that same fate as my Texas Longhorns have this week. So
Chiefs matchup.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting. I may have a shitty weekend. But again, guys, please hit the like button. Please subscribe down below. And as always, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.